It's playoff time, which means it's win or go home. I'll tell you who I think goes home between the Bills and Jaguars today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Well, folks, welcome in. This is the last conversation that we're going to have before the Bills face the Jaguars in the playoffs. And we got a lot to do. We'll do my 5-game predictions. We'll talk to Dr. Kyle Trimble of Banged Up Bills about the injuries. We'll share my final thoughts. And also, it's an anniversary for me here on this podcast, which I'll share some thoughts about me entering year 8 of hosting this podcast later on. But I do want to start with my final thoughts on this game. And I really struggled with what to say in this block. And I was originally going to talk about advantages and disadvantages for both teams, but it's like, I feel like I've already said all of that stuff. Where I think the Bills have advantages, where I think the Jaguars have advantages. And as I've gone through this mental journey that I think all fans go through in a playoff week, where you're thinking about both sides and how the game's going to go, where I find my thoughts centering as this game approaches, it's about Josh Allen. And really these ridiculous narratives that are being put out there about Josh Allen and not being able to get it done in the playoffs. And it's now or never. There's no Patrick Mahomes. There's no Joe Burrow. There's no Lamar Jackson. He's the guy, right? He's the battle-tested playoff quarterback. That's the reigning NFL MVP. And that Josh Allen can't lose to a rookie head coach in the wild card round. We're smarter than this, right? We are smarter than this. Football is the ultimate team sport. Let me say this, and I shared this on my weekly spot on WGR 550. I go on every Wednesday morning. And before I went on, it was a Colin Cowherd rant about, now or never for Josh Allen. And I shared this on the radio, and I want to share it right now. A couple years ago, I went through a training that was by somebody who works for one of the big networks that you're really familiar with. And I sat in on this training, and they were telling me and the other people's in attendance, how do you communicate with your audience? What's the best way to build your audience and communicate with your audience? And the main thing that they tried to communicate, which I have absolutely not adopted, was that you need to make sure you tie everything back to A-list players. So in the case of the Bills, everything should be tied back to Josh Allen, everything you talk about. If the defense is bad, well, then you need to talk about not necessarily what's wrong with the defense. You need to talk about how it makes it harder on Josh Allen and puts more pressure on him. If the pass protection is bad, don't talk about the offensive line. People don't want to hear about the offensive line. They want to hear about how it affects Josh Allen's performance. I said, no way. No way I'm doing that. These listeners are not incapable of understanding all the layers to a football game and a football team. I'm not going to underestimate your intelligence. And so I'd encourage you to not accept crap analysis like this that's going on. The reason the Bills haven't gone to the Super Bowl has very little to do with Josh Allen. In fact, I would say the reason they're looked at as a team that can go to the Super Bowl and win it is because of Josh Allen. Josh Allen has been elite in the playoffs. Elite. Arguably, statistically, the greatest quarterback ever in playoff history. That's not hyperbolic. It's just the facts. Among quarterbacks with 10 or more playoff starts in the history of the NFL, Josh Allen ranks number 1 in offensive yards per game with 311. Josh Allen ranks number 1 in total touchdowns per game at 2.54. Josh Allen ranks number 1 in touchdown to interception ratio, passing touchdown to interception ratio at 6.25. He ranks number 1 in lowest interception percentage at 0.9%. What are we talking about? Josh Allen's an amazing football player. I tell you time and time again that I think he's the best player in the world. But Josh Allen's not responsible for run defense. Josh Allen's not responsible for a lack of pass rush and defensive line impact. Josh Allen's not responsible for a lack of receiver talent. Josh Allen does elevate the team. There's no question. But to act like this is simply Josh Allen and there's nothing else that's going to happen in this football game, you should feel insulted that somebody would tell you something like that and think that you're incapable of understanding the bigger picture. Don't accept it. Don't listen to it. Don't engage with it. There's a whole lot more. And would I be disappointed if the Bills lost this game? Of course. Do I think this is a great opportunity for Josh Allen? Of course I do. But to act like there's this problem with Josh Allen that is getting in the way of the Bills going to the Super Bowl is ridiculous. The reason they have a chance is because of Josh Allen. All right, let's exhale. Let's do more. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Dr. Kyle Trimble of Banged Up Bills about the injury stuff. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. What if sports were traded like markets? Now, you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. You're play-by-play. It's you decide. You can trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. I'm joined now by Kyle Trimble. He's a doctor of physical therapy. He runs bangedupbills.com. You can follow him on social media at bangedupbills. He joins us each week to get ready for the upcoming Bills game from an injury perspective. And, we got some stuff to dive into. And Dr. Kyle, I want to start with a kicker, Matt Prater. Oh, man. All right. So it's been a journey. Of course, he missed a couple games with the quad. He plays against the Jets, but can't finish the game with a quad. He winds up not practicing Wednesday, but then he practices in full on Thursday, doesn't practice Friday, but Sean McDermott says it's not abnormal for a kicker to not practice in full on Friday. What's going on here?
So, like you said, he wasn't able to finish the game. He left the game just before halftime. It was like 4 minutes left in the second quarter, did the kickoff. Kickoff looked normal, didn't think anything of it, and then we get a report that he's been taken out. I think it might have been questionable, then eventually taken out. And I thought maybe it was initially precautionary, but then later on he said that it stiffened up on him in the cold and that they were taking him out, not necessarily as a precaution, but they obviously were being mindful of the injury. So they wanted to see how things were tested out. He was able to practice in full on Thursday. They have a clear game plan, what they want to do with him. And then the fact that he didn't practice on Friday was part of the game plan to let him rest. He seems like he's trending in the right direction there. I mean, he's been kicking for 20 years. He knows his body, what he can and can't do. He's never had a designated quad injury before, at least from what I found, but he's had other injuries that he's worked through. And so it's going to come down to how he's feeling, how he can do what he needs to do, kickoffs, field goals, extra points, things like that. And he's going to let them know, hopefully, where he's at with everything. Considering it's the warmer weather, he's had more time off to rest, and he just has to know how he feels. I'm leaning toward him playing, but I still expect them to at least elevate the kicker they just had, Matthew Wright, just as an insurance policy, just in case he is kicking at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday and saying, hey, it's not feeling right. They can at least get the other guy out there and go. But he seems to be trending in the right direction, and it's calculated risk that the Bills know what they want to do. But unfortunately, we're on the outside looking in, guessing as to what they do.
My biggest concern here is that the Bills dress him on Sunday and he kicks a couple times and then he can't go. And then in the middle of the game, you're now without a kicker. And so I think that's probably part of that big pregame situation where you let him kick and like find out. And if he can't go, then you've got to roll with Matthew Wright. But it feels like regardless of whether or not Prater can go, you got to have that kicker elevated to give yourself that chance on Sunday in pregame. If you need to, 90 minutes before game, you got to know if Prater is going to be able to handle it or not. And so, boy, kicker problems are annoying. Very annoying. All right, we got other things that are annoying to talk about, and that next thing is Ty Johnson, Bills backup running back, obviously a big role for this team on third downs, pass protection, helps on special teams. He winds up kind of gutting through that Jets game to get his incentives, and maybe it comes at a cost because he has an ankle injury, and he didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday, limited on Friday, questionable for the game.
He got the ankle rolled up on fairly well in the first quarter. He was just running. He got rolled over to the right, and the foot kind of got caught in the turf. It kind of looked like a high ankle, but he got right back out there, and I think even at one point they said it was probable. And he continued gutting through the whole game. I think he took another shot sometime in the, early fourth quarter. He left and then kind of came back in and just kind of kept moving along to get his incentives. But I believe he played up all the way till the end. So I don't know if the ankle swelled up on him later or if it was just causing him problems that, he wanted to take some rest on it. I know the incentive part isn't part of the playing now. Like, he wants to be out there because it's playoffs. It's going to come down to what he's able to do. I know that Frank Gore Jr. was out there taking reps during the week. Obviously, Ty Johnson was not able to practice, so somebody had to take those reps. And it might just come down to how he's feeling and if he can cut and do everything he needs to do there. So I know most of the guys that I went back and looked, and I put this up on X earlier today because we're recording on Friday night here. Most of the guys that are questionable that at least got a limited practice in on that Friday ended up playing. It was like 18 of 22 players. So that's like over 80% chance that he's going to play. There are a few that don't play, and they were truly questionable. Right now, I'm going to lean toward he's playing until they show me otherwise at the inactives, because most of the time they do play. It just, when they do not participate that final practice, then we see them not playing. We'll talk about that with future players.
I do wonder if Frank Gore would be an option. You can only elevate two players. Yep. And do the Bills feel that need to have the third back available, especially when you potentially need to have a kicker? You probably want to have a defensive end, maybe a linebacker, and there's some big choices to make in terms of those two practice squad elevations. Josh Palmer didn't practice all week. His game day status is questionable. Ankle injury here. I don't really remember anything happening during the game. What's your read on this Josh Palmer situation?
I don't recall anything happening either. I don't recall getting any notifications or seeing anything where he was down on the ground there. The fact that he wasn't able to practice all week says he's not going to play. We've never had a player that hasn't practiced under Sean McDermott that has suited up. We've had plenty of players questionable, but no one's ever played. And that goes back to, like I said before, with the guys being questionable. Most of the guys that do not participate, that final practice did not play the game. The only exception I could find was Christian Benford, who was limited Wednesday, Thursday, and then did not participate Friday. And this was coming off his concussion last year. And we all know how that went. But that was more of an exception and not the rule. But I don't see how Palmer plays in this game.
Terrell Bernard's ruled out for this football game. And we know that he's been battling through this calf, this elbow, all kinds of stuff. But Shaq Thompson, who I think everyone's really delighted is on this team and can step in for Terrell Bernard, has a neck deal. He's been limited all week, questionable for Sunday. Sean McDermott didn't seem concerned about this one, but at the end of the day, he hasn't practiced in full all week and does have a questionable designation.
McDermott said he should be good to go. That's all I can take it from there.
Yeah.
We know he hurt the neck against the Cleveland Browns and was unable to return to that game. And then I think he played against the Philadelphia Eagles and then rested last week. Or I can't remember. It's all a blur with the guys sitting out last week there. But they say he's going to be good to go. I have no reason why he wouldn't be unless he wakes up on Sunday morning and his neck's all seized up. But, I mean, he's going to be a valuable part in this game.
The injury that has a lot of people talking right now is this Maxwell Harrison thing. And he's ruled out for this game. Didn't practice all week. The designation here is an ankle. What'd you see, and what's your thoughts on this timeline? Is this a multiple week thing? Can he come back next week?
It looks like it's a multiple week thing based off of just what we're seeing. So this happened midway through the fourth quarter. We're just trying to get through the end of the game. He goes through a routine tackle, and there's a few other guys that are trying to take the Jets offensive player down, and he goes to get tackled, and his right leg was the knee was already bent, the foot was planted, and then the player goes to the Jets player goes to move forward, and Harrison somehow somersaults over, but the foot gets caught in the turf, and we see that classic dorsiflexion and eversion mechanism, which we see with a high ankle. I'm not certain it's a high ankle because of just how much the toe got caught in the turf, but they're calling this an ankle, and I'm going to lean toward this being a high ankle. If that's the case, he's going to have a heck of a time cutting on it, backpedaling, jumping, really doing anything that a quarterback needs to do. And we see on average players do miss about 2 weeks with a high ankle sprain, just regardless of position. We see certain guys like Deion Dawkins, Khalil Shakir come back after 1 week with this, but those guys are moving forward and can kind of minimize where they're going with it. But with Harrison needs to react and backpedal and do everything mirroring the wide receiver, it's going to be really hard for him to go. So I just don't see how he plays next week, even if the Bills do win, which I do expect him to, but it's just an opportune injury. And I know there's a lot of people upset that why was he out there? Well, we need to have somebody out there. I think they had every cornerback or secondary player playing at that time because you need to get through the game. I think the only guy that wasn't on the field at the time was Darnell Savage, who had just come off due to the injury of himself the prior play. So I know people were talking about getting a offensive lineman out there, defensive lineman. Well, you're going to risk injury to those guys because they don't even know what the heck they're doing out there. So it's just unfortunate, but that's just the reality of when you have to have 11 guys on the field, somebody has to play.
Yeah, he's a third string corner.
Yeah.
What do you do? He's a third string corner. You got a football game to play. Let me sneak one in here about Ed Oliver. The questions from fans don't really stop about Ed Oliver. Everyone's curious. Sean McDermott had some comments about Ed Oliver, maybe starting to practice next week. What do you think about this situation?
I think it's definitely realistic. I think if the knee hadn't happened, I think he could have returned to practice this week, but I really don't think he would have been playing because that would have been a really tight timeline for the biceps itself. He would have been like 10 or 11 weeks. And we see where guys are about 12 weeks and they're comfortable with it. We saw that with DeMar Hamlin return to practice. He's about 12, 13 weeks out from surgery from his pectoral tear. We've seen that before with Matt Milano with his biceps tear last year, Daquan Jones, John Feliciano. That 3-month mark is about the sweet spot. Now, I know with Ed Oliver, he won't hit that sweet spot until probably AFC Championship game, Super Bowl in that range. But you can usually shave a week off if you know you're getting close with it. And it seemed like he was because he tore his meniscus while rehabbing. So I could see a scenario where they return him back to practice, but I can't discount the possibility of him playing the divisional round if they really need the bodies, especially with Daquan Jones still battling with his calf injury and Jordan Phillips been on injury reserve. But if they can keep gutting us out and keep getting wins, kick that can down the road, and maybe he's ready for AFC Championship game, Super Bowl, and hopefully he's more productive at that time when he gets back on the field if they can get past this week.
Well, Dr. Kyle, I certainly hope that next week at this time we are talking about Ed Oliver potentially playing against some team. But if not, I know there's some words you'd like to share with Bills Mafia.
Absolutely. I mean, since 2020, we've been able to do this at least a few times, in the playoffs, and this is not one and done. I think the last time we had that was against Houston in wild card. But I do want to thank everybody for listening, reading, watching. It's really cool every year just to see how many people I interact with. Hey, I listen to you on Locked On Bills. Hey, I read your stuff on Banged Up Bills. I see your stuff on Cover One. The amazing amount of people who consume Bills content and then associate me with those brands is really, really cool, especially with the Locked On stuff. I was fortunately able to go to the game on Sunday, and I go park on the guy's front lawn in 28, and the people next to me get out. Hey, you're Kyle from Locked On Bills, and it was just really cool that they recognized me immediately, and we were getting all dressed and getting warmed up and talking back and forth. And then the tailgate I was at, they were hey, I saw you on Locked On Bills, and it's just really cool, that recognition. I've had patients recognize me. It's just really cool to see what I've been able to build, the support I've gotten from you and then others in the space, and just being a voice that I try to be the voice of reason if I can, and just try to really bring my knowledge and passionate fan base or my fandom to the discussion, and try to put context in everything. That's been the goal from day one. I continue to try doing it, and I just really want to thank everybody for all their support, listening, reading, and just everything that comes with being a Bills fan. So thank you, and go Bills.
Well, Kyle, first of all, I appreciate your friendship, but secondly, you do help fill a void on this podcast, because I can't get on here and talk about the dorsiflexion and how that leads to a potential high ankle sprain. That's just not something I'm equipped to handle. So I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your expertise.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Joe. Hopefully talk to you soon, and go Bills.
The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets you like the most. So open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. And the boost lets you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to add more juice to the bets you already have, and every play is going to feel bigger, and the boosts make your best bets feel that way too. So you make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Let's be real, managing your finances can feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? Well, that's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I love how it tracks all my subscriptions and lets me cancel them right in the app with just a few taps. There's no more hunting down customer service numbers. And the automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. I can finally see exactly where my money is going each month, and you can set budgets and goals, get personalized insights, and receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. It even consolidates your checking, savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard so you get a clear view of your entire financial picture. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, folks, welcome back. It's prediction time, and then I want to share a few thoughts about starting year 8 of this podcast. My 5-game predictions first. Number 1, the Jaguars. You heard all about it. They have not allowed 75 rushing yards to a single player this year. The third team since 2000 to do it. So my first prediction is put me down for James Cook rushing for 75 yards or more against the Jaguars. Look, Jaguars have a good run defense. There's no doubt about it, but they have 2 warts, defending inside zone and defending duo. Those are 2 concepts that the Bills run extremely well. They're in the top 8 of success rate for both concepts. I think the Bills can get after Jacksonville on the ground with those concepts. So put me down for more than 75 yards rushing for James Cook. Number 2, I'm excited about Dalton Kincaid in this game. Put me down for Dalton Kincaid leading the Bills in receiving in this game. That hasn't happened since week 9. And, of course, we know the season that Dalton Kincaid is having. He's been terrific. The problem is he just hasn't been consistently available. Let me give you some Dalton Kincaid metrics this year. Among the 29 tight ends with at least 49 targets in 2025, Dalton Kincaid ranks number 1 in the following categories: yards per catch at 14.6, average depth of target 9.5 yards, yards per route run at 2.79, yards after the catch per reception at 6.7, and passer rating when targeted at 149.2. Unfortunately, he only had 49 targets because of a lack of availability. Well, everything the Bills have done down the stretch is about making sure that Dalton Kincaid is fully ready to go for the playoffs. And I'm sure he's got some bumps and bruises, or maybe his knee's not perfectly fine. But I don't think there should be any restrictions on Dalton Kincaid. He's, of course, missed several games. There's been games where he's been on a snap count. And, there's no tomorrow. I think the Bills will fully unleash Dalton Kincaid, and he will lead the Bills in receiving yards for the first time since week 9. Number 3, I think Khalil Shakir has under 6 catches. And there's some significance here because in each of the Bills' last 4 playoff games, Khalil Shakir has 6 or more catches. I don't think he gets there in this game. Jerry Jones is a very good slot player. They have good coverage linebackers. And I think it's going to be tough for the Bills to really feature Khalil Shakir. I don't think he'll be shut down, but I don't think he has that type of volume in this game. So put me down for under 6 catches for Khalil Shakir for the first time in the last 4 playoff games. So it'll be the first time in 5 playoff games that he didn't get 6 or more catches. My next one, there's a lot of defensive end talent in this game. Of course, the Jaguars have Trayvon Walker, number 1 pick a few years ago. Josh Hines-Allen, handsomely paid, a top 10 pick a few years ago. And the Bills have Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau. And ultimately, I like the talent that both teams have on the edge. And I kind of like the talent that both teams have at offensive tackle, but I like the Bills a little bit better at offensive tackle with Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins. The Jaguars have Anton Harrison at right tackle. Is a good-looking young player, but first playoff start going up against Joey Bosa, who said this week he's as healthy as he's ever been going into the playoffs. And then their left tackle, Cole Van Lanen, doesn't look like he's going to be able to go in this game. And if so, that'd be Walker Little. But regardless of who it is, I like Rousseau in that matchup. So here's my prediction. Bosa and Rousseau have more combined sacks, tackles for loss, pass breakups, forced fumbles, and fumble recovery. So splash plays than Walker and Hines-Allen. So when you add up Bosa and Rousseau's total sacks, tackles for loss, pass breakups, forced fumbles, and fumble recoveries, they will be more than what the Jaguars get out of Walker and Hines-Allen. And then lastly, do I think the Bills win this game, or is this it? Do they go home? Well, look, I think this is a very tight game. And I think you could probably convince me that it's a coin flip game. I think there's some significant advantages that both teams have. Obviously, Jacksonville's playing really well. There's no question about it. Got good young coaches on both sides of the ball. Trevor Lawrence is playing the best football of his career. But if it's close, you think I'm picking against Josh Allen? No way. No way. I'm predicting a Bills win in Jacksonville, and then we'll see what happens in the divisional round in terms of who they play. Of course, what it comes down to is if the Chargers beat the Patriots, well, then, it's the lowest advancing seed would go play the 1 seed. So the Chargers would play the Broncos, and the Bills would play the winner of Steelers and Texans. If the Patriots beat the Chargers and the Bills beat the Jaguars, then they will play in Denver. So that would be, kind of the fallout here. That's what you'd be paying attention to in terms of where the Bills would go. But it's close. I think it's a really close matchup. And, I think there's a lot of X factors in play, special teams, who takes care of the football, who can exploit weaknesses, all those things. But with my outlook here, expecting a close game, I'm picking Josh Allen every single time. All right. So it's my anniversary. January 8th, 2019, my first episode as host of this podcast was published. And so I have now completed 7 years hosting this podcast, and I am beginning my 8th year. And I'm excited. I really am. I love to take, this moment, right, to kind of just reflect and think about the journey to this point. And the two words in my mind that I can't really escape are that I'm really, really proud and I'm really, really grateful. I'm grateful for all the support that I've received from Bills Mafia. It's been so amazing to be able to connect with so many people, and for the podcast to be well received. I know it's not for everybody. I have a close family friend that is a Bills fan, and one day he told me, he's like, "Dude, I don't listen to your podcast. It's too technical for me. Like, I prefer a different style of analysis." Okay, fine. Like, no problem. Like, I can live with that. But overwhelmingly, this podcast has done very well, and I'm really grateful for the support that I've received from Bills Mafia. I'm grateful to the Locked On Podcast Network for this opportunity. David Locke for believing in me to host this podcast. And I couldn't imagine being anywhere better than the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. I get to talk about the Buffalo Bills every day, and I get to do the Locked On NFL Scouting podcast. So I get to do a national podcast for the #1 sports podcast network in the world. And of course, I get to talk about the Bills. It's an absolute dream come true. I could not imagine being anywhere else. The network is amazing to me. They do a great job. It's well organized, and I love being part of it. And so I'm grateful to the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm grateful that I get to do my favorite thing in the world outside of being a father and a husband, is talk about the Bills. Are you kidding me? It's incredible. I'm grateful for that. And I think I'm most grateful, though, for the relationships and community that have been built around this podcast. I'm a fan with a podcast. Like that's it, guys and girls. That's it. I'm a fan with a podcast. And this podcast has given me the opportunity to share my fandom with you, right? We're on this Bills Mafia journey together, and I freaking love it. And as this thing has grown, I've connected with people across the globe, and we've been able to establish the Discord community, and it's incredible. Thousands of people just I get to interact with, and several people that we've had like real life conversations and shared struggles and like supported each other through difficult things. It's incredible. And so that's really become probably my favorite part is the community and the relationships that have come through doing this podcast. So I'm grateful for a lot of things, and I'm proud of a lot of things. This podcast consistently ranks in the top 25 of football podcasts in America. There's times that we're in the top 15, times that we're in the top 10. It's crazy to me. We just cover a single team, the Buffalo Bills, the second smallest market in the NFL. It's Green Bay's the smallest market, then it's the Bills. And we're up there against national podcasts, and we rank really well. And it's incredible to me. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of how hard I've worked. I really am. I haven't been perfect. I've made mistakes, but I'm 100% proud of the effort and enthusiasm that I put into this show and what that has turned into. Really proud of it. I don't think I'm the most talented person in the world. I don't. But I do think I work really, really hard. And I will, wherever this goes, I will be able to say that my effort was maximum all the time. And I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of the consistency. You're getting this podcast. It's going to be there for you. I only have to do 5 episodes a week. And we most of the time do 6, a couple episodes of Bill Squad. You're going to get it. It's going to be there for you. And I'm proud of the consistency that has been created through the years. And I'm proud of the evolution. Like this podcast, when I started doing it back in January 2019, it was an audio podcast. That's it. Sit there, record my podcast. It'd be an audio show only. Then it became an audio and YouTube show. We add the subtext. We evolve show concepts, right? We add herd mentality. We do the all 22 review, different things that have come through. We have a Substack where I'm able to provide additional written and film content. I built a website, thejoemarino.com. We have Bill Squad now twice a week, roundtable discussions that are different, that I get to share myself in a different way. Every year we've added something and evolved, and I don't know what the next thing is. I legitimately don't know, but it's something will come along and we'll embrace it and we'll try to do the best we can with it. And so I won't say that every step of the way, like I've always thought those were great ideas, but we've worked really hard to execute them. And I am in love with all of those ideas now. And so I don't know what's next, but in terms of how we're going to grow and evolve, but something will happen. And I have a feeling it'll be successful because we've done so many different things that have turned out to be successful. And so I'm grateful and I'm proud. I really am. And if you've listened to every episode I've done, you've listened to, this is your first one, if you listen once a week, couple times a week, whatever, like it's unbelievably meaningful to me. It means the world because without that, I don't get to do this. And it's not lost on me. I don't take your time for granted. And I love getting to do this. And I love getting to share my Bills Mafia experience with you. And I'm just a fan with the podcast. And I'm beyond grateful that you are willing to give me your ear and, discuss this football team that we all love. All right, folks, there you have it. The hay is in the barn. We've done all we can to get ready for this game. The only thing that's left to do is for Josh Allen to go lead the Bills to a win on the road and humble these Jaguars, man. These guys are brimming with confidence. Time for them to have a little humble pie. And hopefully we're having a victory Monday next time we get together. Bill Squad right after the game. And then, of course, my reaction and all the things that we do. So don't miss it. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.